Good morning. I'm Justin Chase, the co-chair of the CRB Research Committee, along with my partner, Clay Honeycutt. Welcome to the third and final day of the research series. I hope you enjoyed the CMA teen study on Wednesday and the perceptual study from Strategic Solutions yesterday, and more importantly, found some actionable takeaways. As a reminder, especially if you missed either one of those studies, you're going to find copies of the decks on the CRS website sometime next week, as well as the deck from today's presentation. But today we have the finale. This is the music test with my good friends over at Radio NuVoodoo. If you saw the perceptual study yesterday, you'll remember when listeners were asked the questions, what would they change about country radio? And the most common response was more music variety. It also said 70% of the total sample wanted a spectrum playlist, so a good mix of new music and gold. While the essence of this format certainly is contemporary, it's new music, there is a strong appetite for gold from the 2000s and 2010s. But even though they want variety, playing the right songs is make or break. So that's why we're doing this music test today. With that said, I'd really like to thank our friends over at Curb Records for making it possible for us to do this music test this year, and also a special thank you to Joel Rabb and Kenny J for the assistance in sort of developing and refining this music test. So on behalf of the entire research committee, I hope you find this data useful today. And if you have any questions during the presentation today, be sure to text, and they will address those at the end. So please welcome my friends Carolyn Gilbert and Lee Jacobs of Radio NuVoodoo.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
We can do this today.
Well, okay. Whew. We got a lot of songs.
We do.
We got a lot of songs.
His role, he's play-by-play, I'm color commentary.
Yeah. And
Just in case you wonder, I'm just going to pipe up periodically, but he's the guy who sat with these data for weeks. I'm just one who got it done.
So in order to do a national music test that would have enough gravity, we started out with a lot of respondents. 2,058 interviews yielded a sample of 600 country fans.
And the way we do this is we generate a population-based sample. So we go across the country, big towns, little towns, and geographically it is proportional to the population when we push the sample out. So that when we get it back, we weight it to the population. And then what you're seeing is essentially the country audience as it relates to the population.
So you had to be a fan of country. Other than that, the only other part of this screen was that you had to listen to music on either FM radio or streaming providers like Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, any of those, which we will shorthand the rest of this morning as
DSP.
Now, we started with equal numbers of men and women. That's what the population is at this point. It's really close.
Especially when we're dealing only 18 to 49.
And yeah, it's not till we get above 49 that men start to go away.
Yeah, men, yeah.
Yeah. But country fans today favor men.
Just a little bit.
53-47.
And we sort of have a hypothesis about that because back in the day, country was like the AC of the other side of the world. It was women. And the stations my sample's 100% women, my sample's 100% women. A few years ago, the predominantly male program director said, let's get some men in here.
Now, wait a minute. To be fair, we were seeing more AQH out of men for country.
Yeah, a little bit. Yes. This is true. But men started creeping into the samples. So we're starting to see men's opinions being reflected in the music. So that a format that used to be 60-40 and sometimes 70-30 women now looks like this.
Yeah, and it's often at AQH. We're seeing a lot of markets where it's 50-50 typically, or sometimes a little more male-leaning. So we can go through the minutia of the different age cells here, but the important part is it's a massive sample of country fans nationwide. And as Carolyn said, if you start out with the proportional numbers for the nation, what you get is what you get. And out of this sample, at least 100 respondents represent each region. So if you're part of the smallest regions here, Midwest or Northeast, you've still got a sample of at least 100 respondents. It's a lot of people to get their opinions about these songs. Moreover, we said you had to listen to either the radio or DSPs.
For a certain amount of time, not just at all. You
Right.
have to listen.
So in terms of country radio, 86% of this sample, that's, what's that, 6 and 7?
Yeah.
Listens to, Oh, right,
Ha ha ha. We're old. We didn't get it at all.
yeah. Yeah, and I've got kids, I mean, come on. Anyway, so 86% country radio cume, and when you start out with a filter of you've got to love country,
Wouldn't we all love to convert that much of our audience to P1s? I mean, seriously, that's
But-
not real world.
but if you take
But for
away,
this sample, it is.
yeah, if you take away the people who kind of like that new Morgan Wallen song, maybe that's on now, but they're otherwise pop listeners, okay, so 77% of this sample
Right.
are country radio P1s. But if 86% are country radio users, then it's 14% who are DSP only.
Right.
Overall in this sample, I didn't show the data here, but 94% use DSPs.
At least at all. You know, 6% said, I never listened to any of these.
Now, of the heavy DSP users, just 22%, a little more than a fifth, have little or no radio usage. The point is, there's huge overlap. You know, I know sometimes, you know, when we're talking to people at stations, there's the kind of feeling that people are either radio or they're streaming. But the truth is, I want the thing I want where it's convenient for me using the device I have at hand. It's just their lives, so there's an awful lot of overlap. 3 in 5 of the heavy DSP users are also heavy radio users.
They love country. They love country music.
I love country music. It's more convenient to listen to it here. I like to scratch this itch when I'm there. It's whatever they're doing. It's fitting in with their lives.
And remember that radio listeners and DSP, they can be the same person with different needs at a moment.
Right.
Like, I feel like listening to this album now or this genre of country, I'm going to go to the DSP because this is what I want to hear right now. But I'm in the car. I just want somebody else to decide what I'm going to hear. I'm going to push the button and listen to country music. But it's my mood. It's a different mood. And it's the difference between broadcasting, what many of us do, and personal casting. I decide what I'm going to listen to, and I can skip that song. But it's a different mood. It's a different need, and sometimes just a different person.
So I've got 3 columns in addition to the total on this slide. Total sample, country FM P1s, heavy DSP, light FM users, because there's more of them than the 14% who use DSP and no FM. And you'll notice among those people who never touch FM radio, 27% are new fans to country. That sticks out a little bit, but to me personally, it's the bigger group, the heavy DSP light FM users, where 37% are lifelong country fans, another quarter are fans over 10 years. That pushes it up a little bit above the country radio P1s, and it gives you a clue to what we're going to see later as we dive into the 427 songs. 3 in 10 men, 18 to 34, have been country fans for less than 5 years.
Which accounts for that little shift in the male to female balance.
Now, call it what you will. I mean, one hypothesis that we kicked around was, is this that rock music isn't working as well as it used to for young guys? They're finding their way to country. This feels like me. This feels right. Maybe. When we ask them, your interest in new country songs, and I know this was touched on yesterday in Kevin and Hal's presentation. It turns out that the longer you've been a fan, the more interested you are in finding new country songs. Watch that stair step across the page. Less than 5 years, 5 to 10 years, over 10 years, lifelong fans, where it's now 65%. And that's the same number as the country FMP ones, 65%. Now contrast that with the people who are heavy DSP users and not so much on the FM.
This is sort of a clue to what we're going to see in the test.
Now just 47% are interested in new country songs. If you've got a question, you can text it in. We'll deal with it at the end of this presentation. I'm sure we'll have time. 427 songs, 6 opinions.
And the opinions are. All right. In my career, I've probably done 1,000 AMTs.
Yeah, we used to do these in auditorium.
In person, where you just prayed that people would show up in rush hour to eat bad food. And sit in uncomfortable chairs and listen to everything in the same order. We don't do that anymore. So I can do this part in my sleep.
Go.
We have 6 opinions. Unfamiliar. I've never heard this song before. That's not even an opinion. So we take that out of some of the scoring. I've never liked the song, and I always explain it when we were talking radio. You hear this song on the radio, you're in your car, you press the button, you're out of here. Then we call this burn. This is a phenomenon we're all familiar with. A radio station played it and played it and played it. You liked it at one point. Then it became okay, and now your thought is, not that song again, to the point that you press the button. We're looking for actions in our opinions. No action, I'm not going to turn it up, I'm not going to turn it off, the song's okay. I like the song, nobody has ever needed an explanation for that. And it is one of my favorites. I will turn it up, I will sing along, I will irritate my children, and I love this song. Those are our 6 opinions.
And today I'm going to show one weighted positive score. I like this score. It's the 2-pop score. Now, we will start with the people who are unfamiliar with the song or say they don't like it or they're tired of hearing it, and they are scored in this rubric as nothing. They don't count. And by the way, this is a library test, so we're not very concerned about familiarity.
Right.
You know, if it's going to be regularly on your station, it probably ought to be judged as though they're familiar with it. They're already there.
And when you look at the results of this test, believe it or not, these songs are pretty familiar because the committee that picked these songs
are experts.
They're experts, yeah. They pick the hits.
Now, if they scored it no action, we don't trust them. They say they wouldn't turn it up, wouldn't turn it off.
It's a mild positive, like it.
Yeah.
Worth half a point.
So we'll weight that by 0.5. If they like it, great. If they say it's a favorite, I personally love that we give it a weighting of 2, because getting that thumb on the scale for something that you emotionally connect with makes tremendous sense to me.
So the minimum score here is 0. If 100% of the sample says this is a favorite, the maximum score is 200.
Now the 2-pop scores here range from 98 to 128, with 198, about 200 titles above the mean score for this test.
Which is not typical.
No.
You know, I mean, in some formats, in a rock test, if you get a 90, and that's your top testing score. These scores are very, 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 very good because the committee picked hits. Go figure.
And the bottom is not very low. Most country music tests that I see, and I see an awful lot of music.
He probably sees more research than anybody.
Most have scores. I looked at a few this week that had scores in the mid-70s. The bottom of this is 98. Most have scores, the bottom is maybe the mid-80s. So a couple of examples so that you kind of get your feet under you about how the scoring might look. Among the 20 best testing titles in this study, Liar by Jelly Roll. Strong favorite votes, solid like responses, 10% no action. Now, this specific title, 3% say, I don't know what that is. 5%, I don't like that. About 4% say, I'm tired of hearing that. And I will tell you that with this format, with country fans,
It doesn't burn.
They don't burn, and these fans are loath to say that I don't like it. We get no action. Well,
Country fans are nice people. The last country song I saw that really burned was Achy Breaky Heart.
Yep. So We'll divide that 9.8 in half, like at 41.4, favorite 38.8. That's a two-pop score of 124.
Which is a massive score.
That's a healthy score. I mean, you are basically saying, I mean, just on the face of it, you've got this huge chunk of people who say, I like that. You know, some of them are a little bit, yeah, I think I like it, but 80% say that's a like or a favorite. It's massive.
You probably want to play that song.
Now, at the bottom end of this, the bottom among the 20 worst testing titles, George Burge cowboy songs. 6% say don't know it. And by the way, maybe more didn't know it, but you've got this little hook going past, this little clip. Yeah, I didn't like that. I mean, it's easy to skip past, I don't know it. And maybe it feels like I know it. I think I've heard something like that. 4% dislike, 4%, 3.8 burn. But here's that 15.6. No action went up from about 10% to heading for 16%. 42% like, 28% favorite. It's a two-pop score of 107. Okay, we're getting closer to showing you data. 427 songs, 6 opinions, 5 eras. This is a big, wide music list. 43 years. Research committee did an awesome job with this. Pre-90, I think it was 82, 87, and 89. You know, from before 96, from 91, 92. You see it go across. But that's too many columns for me to look at personally. I kind of get cross-eyed. So how about this way? 427 songs, 43 years, 5 eras. Before 2010, 111 titles total. 2010 to 2014, 68 titles. 15 to 19, 80. 88 titles from 20 to 23. In the past couple of years, 24, 25, 80 titles.
All of them hits.
Well, okay. Above the mean score for this test overall, among that pre-2010 group, 78 titles are in the top half of this test. And given the structure of this list, I'll say that more than half of them are like good to go. If you want to play them, if they fit on your station, go for it. 2010 to 2014, 42 of them. 44 of the 2015 to 2019s. 33 of the 2020 to 23s. And a dozen of the 24 to 25s. Okay, so we have a feeling for how this is all going to work. So here's the top 20 titles from 2024 to 2025. 80 titles overall. I'm showing 20 of them.
They're taking pictures.
They can take screenshots.
I know.
That's fine. I said that, you know.
Please do.
I said I could be in my PJs today.
Yeah.
More than a dozen of them over the mean score, and 3 in that top quintile. Just 3.
Did you explain the quintiles?
No. You want to do that?
Yeah, these are color-coded by quintile, meaning, you know, it's 20% of each color. Green is a top tester. Blue is in the secondary, between 80 and 60% in terms of the test ranking. Yellow's next, orange is next, and red is at the bottom. So you can see which quintile every song is in, and then that's by demo.
And so you'll see here that nothing's in the bottom quintile except by demo.
Right.
And that's, for the radio programmer, the art of the deal is, okay, so if I play this song, I'm making her happy and he's not so happy. So maybe I want to play that title, but I got to figure that out at scheduling. How am I going to balance this? The top 20 titles from 20 to 2023, 88 titles total in that group. Here's the top 20. 33 of them are above the mean score, and 16 of them are in this top quintile. You'll see that there's no red on this page. Everybody was fairly okay with this. 2015 to 2019. 80 titles total, 44 above the mean, 19 in the top quintile, almost all of these. And you just see the one Luke Combs title where the guy's 18 to 34.
Those young men, you know. Can't make them happy.
Just not my jam. Just not what I'm listening for. Go back a little further, 2010 to 14. 68 titles rather, 42 above the mean, 15 in the top quintile. Now, instead of the red showing up with the guys 18 to 34, it's the women 18 to 34. FGL crews like, nah, it's in their bottom quintile.
With a score of 96.
Yes, indeed. And here's the pre-2010 titles. All 20 of these are above the mean, are in the top quintile, 36 of them total out of this 111 titles, 78 of them above the mean. And again, you've got the young guys going, nah, that's not my song. But overall, country has such a magnificent range of gold, and there's so much of it that you can so easily weather a period when the currents aren't feeling good, or this recurrent seems to be going away or burning or feels wonky.
Great spice available.
Yeah, lots and lots of it. All right. So I promised you at the beginning that we were going to get deep into the difference between the radio P1s and the DSP heavies. And I'm going to deliver on that. All right. So there are 427 songs in this test. I am going to show you data for all of them. There's nothing better than looking at, 17 pages of tables. What a guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Eyes crossed.
So the heavy DSP light FM respondents are overall less enthusiastic about music than the country FM P1s.
Yeah.
Let's think about that a minute. Carolyn, why is that?
Ask the question again.
Why are the DSP listeners less enthusiastic about music than the FM listeners?
I don't know. Tell me why, Lee.
When I'm listening to DSP, it's not that I don't like songs, but I like my songs.
Oh,
Radio,
of course.
we
We
need
already talked about this. This is one-to-one. This is me giving the choice. Radio is a consensus medium where we are trying to create a community that likes the same thing at the same time. When I'm sitting in my office listening to Spotify, I want my song at my time. One-to-one, one-to-many. That's what we're looking at. So it's not that they might not like country music as much. It's they just want my songs right now. And the other thing, the difference between spins and streams. Spins, you know what radio stations played what song, how many times. And that was broadcast to a whole lot of people who all heard it at the same time. That's a static number. Streams, I was just saying back here, I've got a 12-year-old granddaughter who listens to a Taylor Swift song 9,842 times in a row. She does it on Alexa. Each one of those counts as a stream. You know, when I was a kid, it was the 45 that you wore out that you played over and over again, but nobody was counting those.
Right.
We're counting them now. So think about that as you think about the difference between streamers and listeners.
And so that becomes important because in order to level up the scores between the FM folks and the heavy streamers, I'll ask you to pay attention to the color coding. What quintile do they fall in? Because sometimes, you know, the numbers will be the same, but it's in different quintiles, and that's going to turn out to be important. Now, highlighted in purple here, Justin and the gang found 14 titles that were heavy at streaming and little or no exposure. I think the most radio spun one of the 14 in 2025 was played 5 times, maybe 9 times. They didn't get radio spin, no exposure on radio. So in fact, one of them's right there at the very bottom of the test, Zach Bryan, Appetite. But notice, it's red-coded for both the country FMP1s and the heavy DSP users. Scores higher among the FMP1s, 105, 86, but they're both in the same quintiles of those stacks. So let's go up a little bit. 401 to 425. I'm really going to do this all the way up to song number 1, okay? I'm serious here.
We had to fill an hour, you know.
Yeah, but note the differences that start to show up. Hell at Night, Big X the Plug. 113, okay. Yeah, it's it's only the mid-bottom for the streamers, but otherwise, oh, and we've got People Hatin', same thing, but it's still not like yay and terrible, it's and terrible. Let's move up a notch. Plastic Cigarette, mid-top for the FM listeners, mid-bottom for the streamers. Just maybe these streaming-only songs don't have mass appeal within a group of people who are using streaming to death and not very exposed to the radio, but maybe they're still not coming together for these same songs. Move up a notch, 351 to 375. One of these left. Mid-bottom, both quintiles. Up another. We got nothing here, but we've got mid-top compared to mid-bottom for Smoke a Little Smoke from 2009. What's that about? Here's one of the purples, Holy Water, bottom for the streamers, mid-bottom for the FM folks. And here's I Remember Everything. We're looking at 276 to 300 ranking on this test. Can you believe it? Bulletproof 2024, a 121 rather for the FM listeners, 103 for the streamers. I Remember Everything, middle quintile for the FM listeners, bottom for the streamers. Where are these streaming people getting these? Why? All right, so we move up another. I'm looking for where's the good stuff for the streaming people. Now keep in mind, I told you the quintiles are going to be the guide here. So let's find one.
Shania Twain. Shania Twain. We found one that the streamers like.
Yeah.
From what year?
From 1995. Can we find another? Oh, look. This Kiss. Top quintile for the streamers, mid-bottom for the FM listeners. You starting to feel like what this is about? She's Country, 2008. I know the scores are really close, but that's the top quintile for the streamers and mid-bottom for the FM listeners. There's a pattern going on here. It repeats. Jason Aldean. The scores are close, but they're in different quintiles. They're in different parts of the test. Dirt Road Anthem, again, green. Scores are only a point off, but bottom quintile for the FM listeners. 176 to 200. Again.
So we're above half now. We're in the top half now.
Yep. So that's a 113 Thunder Rolls, but it's the bottom quintile for the FM listeners, mid-top for the streamers. 151 to 175, drum rolly stuff, right? Well, maybe not, I don't know. But again...
Or phone stuff. Somebody's alarm's going off.
Somebody needs to take a pill. Wait. But we'll see this pattern where, if I'm looking at the people who prefer streaming, who spend more time there and very little with FM, it's about the gold.
Yeah.
It's about the gold over and over and over and over again. You know, for the radio listeners, yeah, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, that's fine.
But
Oh, I love that song.
I want more new music. I'm there. You know, we talk a lot about radio being there for new music exposure. Well, for country, it's important.
Right. Before he cheats, that's top for the streamers, mid-bottom for the FM listeners. Getting close here. 51 to 75, and you can go through this. You see the same pattern. Neon Moon. Scores are really close, but one's the top quintile, the other one for the FM listeners is mid-bottom. Top 20, top 50 here. Again, it's the same pattern. And top 25, you get to see what's at the very top of this list, and it's an amazing list of songs. I mean, and there's so much width. It's just spectacular. But if I need to make the point again about the difference between the folks who spend a lot of time with streaming and the people who are radio P1s, check this out. We showed you these 5 eras, and among their top quintile of songs, the top 20% of this list for those people, among the FM listeners of that list, 29% of those titles came before 2010. If you're a streaming listener, almost half of the songs that were in your top 20% came from before 2010. You watch it across the page. It's about even Steven among the 2010 to 2014s. Radio starts to pull ahead, 2014 to 15, up a couple of points as we get to 2020 to 2023, and double acceptance of the newest titles in this test, which, by the way, included a bunch of songs that we theorized should perform at streaming because they got lots and lots of streams, but not lots and lots of consensus. So there's 427 songs. Holy gosh. If you've got a question, and there's got to be a couple, you can text it, and we'll try to get to it. So in about a half an hour, there's a whole ton of data. You get enough screenshots?
Are you going to tell them?
Yeah. You didn't need to take any of them. All the information from the presentation and much more will be available to CRS attendees.
There are 371 pages, because I did make it so it's printable, but much more likely that you would want to just sort it. There are every breakout, everything we did is available on the link that you will get after this performance, so you can slice it and dice it to your heart's desires.
Gender, demos, US regions, time as fans, new music fanatics. You know, we divvied up no FM, some FM, column after column, page after page. It's just...
And I did make it printable. So you can, they will print on one page and not cut off the end. The print, it took a long time, really, for every page. The header and the footer will tell you what you're looking at. It should, it should work. I hope.
But some notes for the people who are going to take the handout and go home and figure, okay, this is what I'm doing to my station. I just want to give you the perspective that with a 600 title OMT, and we do plenty of them, the safe to play songs are usually the top 40%, about 240 titles.
Justin, is that right? I figured. He knows what he's doing.
Additional songs you can find out of the next 10%, but it gets trickier. There's judgment involved. The tighter 400 title OMT, which we sell a lot of these days because they're under 10 grand, and stations, I mean, you're trying to find money in the couch cushions. But typically about half those, because people are less adventurous with what they're going to include in the hook list, so it's a tighter hook list. Typically about half the top is fine, and then you find another group of titles out of the next 10% of the list. Here, 427 titles, even with 14 of them that were big at streaming and didn't turn out to be very popular with anyone. The top 60% of this test should easily yield songs that are safe for most. Working with the complete results, you'll want to set minimum scores for each breakout that's important to you. That could be a specific demo for your station. That could be, well, I really feel like our station feels like the Midwest, so look at that breakout. Titles at the top of the ranking, as you saw earlier when we were showing the top 20 titles for each era, the songs at the top are usually fine across the demos, across the board. They are massive hits and likely safe for airplay. It's lower down the ranking that you find the songs that young guys like, but young women don't, or some hole in it.
And by the way, the handout will provide all the scores.
Right.
We provide 8 scores, the 6 opinions that I talked about earlier, plus what we call the pop scores and the PTL, the potential scores, which are much more useful in call-out.
Current music testing is where you need potential
Right.
scores.
So potential scores, you knock out the bottom, you delete the unfamiliar people from your sample, so that if 100% of the sample is familiar with the song, the pop and the potential scores will be the same. But if there's a certain percentage that are unfamiliar with the score, the potential score will be a little bit higher in this case than the pop score. The pop score is everybody's included.
So let's take a moment and talk about radio versus streaming. Among these country fans, and everybody in this sample is a country fan, while we cannot say that radio listeners want one thing and streaming listeners want something else entirely, we can say that those who rely more on streaming than radio include fewer people who are passionate about new releases. About 65% compared to less than half. As a group, they prefer more older titles than those who rely on radio. And we can say they have less consensus about their music choices. One more time, radio, mass media, streaming is personal media. They're different. Streaming needs to make one person happy at a time, and those individual streams may incubate a mass hit. Could happen. But looking at these data, it feels like it's going to be more the exception than the rule. So consider streams as an indicator, an early warning system. Hey, this could be a thing. But then verify that it's really a mass appeal hit in the making for your station. It's important. Couple of words about music scheduling. The worst title here puts about 29% of listeners at risk. 12% unfamiliar, 3% dislike, 7% burn, and I said about half those who say, I wouldn't turn it up, I wouldn't turn it off. Well, some of them are probably going to turn it off. The best title here puts about 11% at risk. Which would you prefer? If you're risking audience, I'm going to lean on the ones that put fewer people at risk. But even if you could play nothing but that song over and over and over and over and over, you'd still be disappointing at least 10% of the audience, which means...
Which is amazing, actually.
Yeah, but they're going to go away.
Yeah.
They're going to start to dwindle off.
Especially if you play it over and over and over again.
Right. Yeah, some of the no-action people might listen through. Some of the unfamiliar folks might say, it's okay. Some of the burn people might not be in a mood to switch, but with apologies to Abraham Lincoln, you can't please all your listeners all the time. So selecting and scheduling music for radio is trying to please the widest possible portion of those listening while disappointing only a few and trying to avoid disappointment for any one listener from more than one song at a time.
That's where variety control, or what we call true variety, comes in when you run your test through variety software.
Yep. So the goal as a scheduler, if you're doing the scheduling, is to move the dislikes around. One group didn't like this one, so you get them with the next song. And that's why, how many pages is it?
371, I think.
Okay. That's why you got to go through.
Don't print it out, please.
But you got to go through and get into the details to help your music scheduling, because let's face it, we had plenty of listeners, but none to spare.
Well, and I do want to say one more thing about the word variety. People go, I want more variety, I want more variety. What variety means to a respondent in a research study is not, I want more deep cuts. I want more things I've never heard before. I want things from a different generation. No. Variety, the word variety, to a respondent means I want to hear more of the music I like. That's what variety means. So when your listeners say, I want more variety, maybe they want less repetition, but they want more of the stuff they like. So keep that in mind.
And if you're trying to determine what they as a group like, paying attention to music research is just the best tool I know that we have available. I mean, you're trying to guess what does he or she want to hear when they get in the car, turn the ignition on, the sound, the song comes on. What do they want that to be? You got to be mind readers, but that's the game that you're playing. So, thank you.
Questions?
Oh.
Bring us back. Yeah.
I will.
We do have some. Hang on. Oh, here we are. Okay, yeah, we got a couple questions here. The first one is, do you recommend sorting the music based on region rather than total sample?
I would use, if I'm doing it, I'm going to use the total sample so I can look at the demos, so I can get deep into that sort of information. And then I'm going to use region as a filter. I might not put a song in based on region, but I might knock it down or knock it up a little bit one way or the other.
Awesome. Okay. The next one is, should we completely disregard or discount the DSP group when picking songs?
I think you should consider them in terms of what you're going to test.
Yeah.
Because as you can have a bubble up hit there.
I can answer it this way. In my opinion, music testing is a TSL tool. Nobody is tuning into your station because you started playing some song. Nobody tuned in because who isn't already listening to hear a song they don't know you were playing. So you're trying to manage among the people who listen to us, how do they feel about songs? So yeah, I could say, at least for looking at gold, the streamers only,
All right. One more that has come in so far, unless there's any more coming in here. Were there any significant differences between the regions?
yes. and
Awesome.
It's all in the handout.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Because we don't actually remember all these numbers that we saw. you know?
And
We're
those
old.
371 pages, you can't remember all?
No. No, I'm just happy I got them formatted, because that took half a day.
Amazing. We don't have any other questions coming in just yet, but we've got a few more minutes. So the number is on the screen. If anyone has any more questions, please text them in. And you guys are always so fantastic, Lee and Caroline, so thank you so much.
Well, we love being here. It's
Yeah.
our favorite conference by far. We love CRS.
We do.
And if you were at the mentoring breakfast or the women's networking breakfast this morning, thank you. It was a lot of fun as usual. Anything else? Are we done?
We're done.
We're done.
We're done. We're leaving. Thanks.